Hey, what is going on guys, Shrey here, and as you may or may not know, today Apple held the release event at the Steve Jobs Theater, and Apple released 4 products: the iPhone XS, the iPhone XS Max, the iPhone XR, and the Apple Watch Series 4. So in this video I'll be talking about those products, so without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. So firstly, we're going to be talking about the iPhone XS and the XS Max. So these are Apple's 2 flagship iPhones, so to speak, and they have all the cool features like the OLED display, the 2 cameras, and all that kind of stuff. And this year they've updated the processor, which I think is a huge upgrade, the A12 Bionic, and Apple's really crushing it in the processor game. They have a 7nm process, which hasn't been achieved by Snapdragon or any major chip manufacturer in their devices yet. So yeah, Apple devices are expensive, and I think that Apple really does put a lot of R&D into their chips, especially. Their chips are getting really powerful. I'm waiting for those single core and multi-core benchmarks to come out. I can guarantee they would start crushing actual Intel laptop processors. This is a very big achievement in my opinion, and Apple working on these processors gives other companies something to look up. A 7nm process will allow for much better efficiency. On top of having OLED, these new iPhones have HDR10 compliance, which is cool, and they've got a higher resolution than normal display. So let's move on to the build quality of this device. So Apple's always had exceptional build quality. That's what they're known for, and this year is no different. They're using a steel body, I believe, and they have 3 colors. One's like a copper, goldish, one's a silver, and one's a space gray. I'm personally digging that space gray color. I think the copper one's really not my taste, but I think it's gonna appeal to someone. That's why they chose it. It's kind of like the rose gold color that came out a few years ago. I didn't like it, but I know a lot of people that use that color and enjoy that color, so it's all preference based. The design is really cool, but let's move on to the camera tech, because this year they've upgraded Face ID and the back cameras, which are pretty cool in my opinion. So Face ID has been upgraded. Apple says it's much faster, partially due to their image signal processor, which they talk about on their website, and it's part of the A12 Bionic Chip that I was just talking about a moment ago. So Apple's saying that they have better algorithms for Face ID, which makes it more secure and faster. So that's definitely a cool thing to see, that Apple's improving their tech, and hopefully it'll one day be on par with fingerprint scanners that are on mobile devices, so that the level of security and speed can be matched with a much more convenient authentication method. Now that we've talked about the front cameras, the cool part is the back cameras. We've got 2 back cameras for the iPhone XS and XS Max. They're both 12 megapixels. One of them is at f1.8 and the other is f2.4. But the cool magic comes in the actual processing. So Apple's using their new signal processor and neural net apparently to get better portrait shots and to get better overall shots in daily scenarios. They have a new feature called Smart HDR, which takes multiple exposures and is able to get a much color accurate picture compared to Apple's old HDR mode on their other devices. They're making portrait mode adjustable, so you can adjust the fake bokeh effect, so you can make it less or more by dragging a slider. So I personally don't think these iPhones are the most exciting devices, although they have cool features and all. So now let's talk about the iPhone that I think is the most breakthrough for Apple, and that's the iPhone XR. This is one of the cheapest options for this device. For that price, you're getting a lot of the iPhone XS features, like the big display, the awesome cameras, and a really powerful processor. And this is why I think this is a much better bang for your buck device than the iPhone XS. And this is what really strikes me, the camera. You're going to be getting that portrait mode effect with one lens. Apple's going on the Google Pixel route with that one lens setup, and initial impressions are pretty good. I think it's looking nice, and personally, if you have good enough software processing, I think portrait mode can be made to look really good when compared to 2 camera setups. Along with the camera, there are a few compromises, although I wouldn't call the camera a compromise. It's still a pretty good camera. You are getting an LCD, which has a pretty low resolution of 720p. And for a 6.1-inch display, that's just very measly with a pixel density of 368, which is disappointing to me, to say the least. And Apple's boasting about this technology. They're like, we have a liquid retina display, making it sound all cool and fancy. But it's just a 720p display, Apple. The resolution is bad and you need to fix it. Does it actually cost that much to add a 1080p panel, which is the mainstream now? I don't know. Just saying. Apple has removed Force Touch on this iPhone XR. And I think it's totally fine. In fact, they've replaced it with a pretty viable option. Okay, the iPhones are done. I think the iPhone XR is the best bang for your buck because it's offering so much. Okay, so let's talk about another product that I think is really cool. The Apple Watch Series 4. Apple Watches are shaping up to be a really revolutionary thing. Apple Watches have saved people's lives. They've been able to detect heart problems. And for a $300 device, that's really good. So this year, Apple's advancing that concept with an even better and even more advanced Apple Watch. So before I get into the health features that make this a true everyday watch, let me get into the design. So this year, Apple's increased the display size of the watch while keeping the same chassis size and actually making it thinner. So basically, the whole volume of the watch is smaller with the same battery life and a much bigger display to accommodate more text, to accommodate more information. Now, design is also looking pretty cool. It's curved on the edges. It's not as boxed. It looks very inviting and comforting the way that they've designed it. And the back looks even cooler. It's made of ceramic and sapphire crystal, which allows for radio waves to pass through it in all directions. But they start at $399, which is really expensive. But before you start thinking that this is not worth it, it's overpriced like every other Apple product, and yes, it's a bit overpriced. As I talked about before, Apple puts a lot of R&D into their devices. And this year they've worked on something really interesting in the health department, and I think this could end up being a crucial thing to have. The Apple Watch still has the heart rate sensor, which can figure out arrhythmia, which is like imperfections in your heartbeat, which can cause problems. Another cool thing that they've added is fall detection. So they have accelerometers on the watch, which are obviously used for steps, but now they use it to see if you've fallen to the ground. And it automatically brings up a prompt where you can call the ambulance. You can just swipe and it will call an ambulance to help you out. But that's not the coolest feature because that could be easily added to any watch via a software update. The coolest feature is an EKG. So EKGs are electrocardiograms. So the cool thing about this ECG is that it can find irregularities in your heartbeat. It can be used for medical applications, and it's actually been approved by the FDA. Let's come back to the price. I was talking about how $399 isn't actually a bad price for such a device because I looked up the price of an ECG, and that can cost up to around $150. So just having an ECG on the Apple Watch is a lot of the cost of the device. Apple is probably doing R&D on this to decrease the size requirements of the ECG to fit into such a small package. And this Apple Watch is really something cool. It's a piece of innovation that we haven't seen from any other watchmakers or smartwatch makers. I can guarantee this Apple Watch will probably end up saving a few lives because of so many tech features Apple's packed into it to record data, to analyze data, to report data. Apple really cares about its customers, and sure, its products are really expensive, but they work really well. The products that Apple released today, especially the Apple Watch Series 4, show that Apple really cares about its customers. It's adding features to help the well-being of its customers. And overall, I think this event went really well. The iPhone XR and the Apple Watch Series 4 are a awesome combination if you're looking to get a new iPhone for the holiday season. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tech videos. I've got some cool tech videos coming up soon. Anyways, this was Shrey here. Have a great day.